Hi guys, it's Josh Lloyd here for your DraftKings NBA first look for Monday in the NBA. Ton of games on. Let's talk about them right now. And the first one we're going to talk about is a rematch from Sunday's action. The Charlotte Hornets and the Orlando Magic. The Hornets getting the win late in that one off a Hayward layup. The Magic here are favored by 2 and the total is 213.5. Aaron Gordon sat out on Sunday, but he should be back in action. We don't know if Michael Carter-Williams will return. He hasn't played forever. I don't think he's going to have too much of an impact either way. Kem Birch at 3,700 has been relatively solid. I don't think that I love him, but if you are looking for a cheap cash play to just put in and get you 17 to 20 points, I think Birch is at least a marginal option. Loving what Hayward's doing though. 7,300 for Gordo. He's putting up big number after big number. He's averaging like 38 points over the last 3. Super cheap price as it is for Nikola Vucevic at 8,700. Really good price on both of those blokes. I love that LaMelo Ball is down at 6,900. I'm not sure that I'd use him, especially on a 10-game slate. We might find some better options there. And then you can look at Aaron Gordon, who's rested. He didn't play on Sunday, but at 7,600, the dude is averaging 48 points over the last 3. He's got point guard duties at the moment, so he's racking up assists. I like him quite a bit. Fournier at 6,300 also looks pretty good. In fact, I think there's quite a bit of fantasy value in this matchup between the Hornets and the Magic. Even though it is a back-to-back, there is still some guys who I think are pretty heavily underpriced. Let's go to the next game now. We're looking at the Philadelphia 76ers and the Detroit Pistons. The big one here, of course, is Joel Embiid. He is questionable. He's at 9,700, and if he plays, it's an absolutely brilliant option at that price. He should get you 50, really, with his hands in his pockets. Blake Griffin missed the last game. He should return here. I don't think we get too excited about him. Well, Derrick Rose will be out again, and that means that Delon Wright is going to get another opportunity at some pretty decent minutes. Delon's at 5,500. Last game, he played 35 minutes and had 29 points. And while that is, it's all right, he only shot 38%. So hit a couple more there, and then you're talking 30, 32 DraftKings points. And I think that that's not a bad option to look at Delon there. While Wayne, the Duke Ellington, is putting up big numbers. He's at 4,200. He's hitting a lot of threes, 30 and 22. 30 points in his last game, 26 the game before that, 25 the game before that, 32 the game before that, and at 4,200, I don't think his role's going anywhere. So I think the Duke is absolutely a strong option for us here. Seth Curry's at 51, good floor, good ceiling as well, while Jeremy Grant against one of his former teams, he's at 7,800. He's been tailing off just a little bit, Jezza. I'm not saying that he's dropping off completely. 33, 40 in his last 2. Like, that's pretty good, but prior to that, he was over 40. 7,800 is not a bad price. I think it's all right. I just don't think that it is an absolute no-brainer that Grant needs to be used or anything along those lines. Another Sunday rematch now. We look at the Toronto Raptors taking on the Indiana Pacers. Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam both sat out on Sunday, so whether they play or not is a huge story. The Jedi Anunoby's at 6,900. He dropped 54 in that game on Sunday. An absolute monster from Anunoby. And if those two guys are out, we do like using him. Otherwise, it could be a little bit too highly priced. Jeremy Lamb's at 44, and I think I'm a bit underwhelmed with Jeremy Lamb at the moment. Like, he's all right. It is a back-to-back. Do they even play him in this game? I think he's worth looking at, maybe as a tournament guy. Brogdon's at 85, and he has been nowhere near that level of late, averaging under 37 points over his last 5 games, while 9,800 for Sabonis on a back-to-back is probably on the high side. On the flip side to that, Miles Turner's at 7,400. He is blocking shots, no worries. The broken hand is not a concern for Miles. I like him quite a bit here. I don't like the fact that Doug McDermott is priced up to 5,500. I think that is on a little bit on the high side for my tastes. Let us move on now to the next game. We're looking at the Miami Heat. They're taking on the Brooklyn Nets. We saw these teams match up a couple of days ago. James Harden's still really passive. He's at 10,200. It's getting into GPP-type territory for Harden at that low salary because he's going to have a big game at some point. The Heat are going to be without Jim Butler, Tyler Hero, and Avery Bradley again, so we can look at Bam Bam Adebayo. 8,500 for Bam. He dropped 63 against the Nets. The Nets' defense, piss poor, horrible. So big men especially going up against this Nets team have got a huge advantage. I love Bam here. I like Dragic at 62 as well, although I'm not as keen on him as I am as Bam. And then Kyrie's at 9,000. Kyrie's been awesome. since returning, putting up big numbers. 45 pluses, averaging 50 in his last 3 contests. His lowest score in his last 5 is 49. He's been awesome. While Durant at 10-4 has been pretty good. I'd rather take Kyrie at 9,000 personally. And then I think we can have at least a look at Kendrick Nunn. But DraftKings has bumped his price all the way up to 6,100, and he's getting a ton of minutes. But I think 6,100 for Kendrick Nunn is probably just pushing my goodwill a little bit too far with him. No interest in DeAndre Jordan or Jeff Green in this one, or even guys like Dunk Robinson, who's been playing well. But again, the 6,200 price tag for Duncan Robinson is just eliminating all value that you can possibly find there. Next game is the Lakers and the Cavs. The Lakers are 10-point favorites. Real blowout territory here. The total 214. The Cavs got beaten by about 1 million against the Celtics on Sunday. Darius Garland's at 52. Hasn't been good since returning from his shoulder issue. I wonder if they'll start him in this one or keep his minutes low. I think there is an opportunity to use him, but I'd be a little bit cautious. I do love that LeBron is at 9,300 against his former team. He's averaging 55 the last 3 times against the Cavs. Now, his recent production's been a little bit down, but he's still 45, 46 average. And at 9,300, I'm fine with that. The Padawan Colin Sexton's at 7,200. Absolutely disgraceful in terms of his output. Nothing to do with him, but the output was pretty poor from him against the Celtics on Sunday. 7,200, I'd be happy to use that. Happy to use Anthony Davis as well at 9,200. Quite a bit of value there in Dave. And Drummond at 88, you can just take that one. Anyone who wants to use Drummond can absolutely use it, and it won't be me that will be using Andre Drummond in any sort of DFS configuration. I just have no trust in his minutes and no trust in his ability to be good on a basketball court. Denver and Dallas, that is the next matchup we're taking a squiz out here. The spread is the Nuggets favored by 1.5, and the total is 222. Michael Porter's at 6,600. He played 35 minutes off the bench last game. I think that he's going to put up maybe a 40-pointer here, DFS-wise. I love it. I love Luka Doncic at 10,700 as well. Even though he's been a little bit underwhelming the last couple, I'm still okay with him getting 50+. While with Richardson and Finney-Smith out, Jalen Brunson at 47, I think there is some GPP value. He's going to get a start. He's going to get an opportunity. And we're also going to welcome back Kristaps Porzingis, who's at 8,200. He should be good for 40. Happy with that one. Same with Big Chungus Nikola Jokic at 10,800. He's just dropping 60s like they're going out of fashion. And at 10,800, what more could you ask for? Not keen on Jamal Murray at 71, nor am I keen on Gary Harris or Paul Millsap. I don't think there's a ton of value in those blokes. The San Antonio Spurs, they are taking on the New Orleans Pelicans on which day's games? On Monday's games. My days always get me muddled up because of the time zone difference here, of course. The Spurs and the Pelicans, no spread at this point. It is a back-to-back for the Spurs. DeJounte Murray's at 6,500. That just seems very, very cheap. So I'd be happy to use that there. Ingram's at 8,000. And while he's been playing well, he's not playing at 8,000 level, so I'd leave that. While Zion at 79, much happier to use Zion Williamson at 7,900 than I am to spend 8,000 on Brandon Ingram. Zion's ability to get in there, drop 40, not do too much more, but drop 40 is pretty high. Lonzo's at 5,800. I like that for Lonzo. Last game I thought he played all right. 5,800 there. He dropped 34 in his last contest. That makes sense to me. While DeRozan at 77 is also a pretty strong price. So I'd be okay with him. Aldridge, Walker, even Keldon Johnson at 6'8 seem a little bit too high for my tastes. The next game, we look at the Boston Celtics. They're taking on the Chicago Bulls. This is a back-to-back for Boston, and they will have no Kemba Walker. They'll also have no Peyton Pritchard. So 3,700 for Jeff Teague has to be someone we're looking at. The Bulls will also likely be without Wendell Carter Jr., while Jason Tatum is likely to return for Boston. Tatum's at 8,900. Is he good for 40? I reckon they might be a bit cautious with his minutes just coming back from COVID, so I'm not massively in there. Gafford at 31. Look, he's been shithouse. There's no denying that, but I think he's at least worth a GPP look, while Zach LaVine at 8,600 looks to be pretty solid. With no Kemba, Tatum is returning, but they should go back to that double big lineup again, which means Rob Williams at 3,200 at least has some GPP value. And Jaylen Brown at 8,500. No Kemba, but Tatum returning means he can retain some of his usage. He's just dropping absolute monsters continually, Jaylen Brown. At 8,500, I like it. The 7,300 for Kobe White, I'm not sure that I'm totally in on that one. Next up is another game involving teams on back-to-backs. We're talking about the Portland Trailblazers. They're taking on and they're hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder here in this one. Let's bring it up on the screen for you guys to take a look at. There is no Yusuf Nurkic or CJ McCollum, of course. No Al Horford for the Thunder. Carmelo Anthony at 4,600. I like it. I like Roby a lot at 4,600 as well. Roby's putting up some pretty solid numbers of late in place of Horford, dropping 30 in today's game. In fact, he's averaging 27 over his last 5, which at that salary makes a lot of sense. Gilgeous-Alexander at 81 looks strong to me, but I also think Enes Kanter's got a real chance to exceed the value at 6,600. And Dame Lillard, one of the better high-priced guys on the board, he's going to get an absolute shit ton of usage in this game against the Thunder, whose defense has been wobbly at times this season. Lou Dort's at 54, and while that's all right, I think it's only for a GPP play that we're looking at Dort with any sort of excitement in our eyes. The next game is the last game. It is the Minnesota Timberwolves. It is the Golden State Warriors. We take a look at that one. Here, the Warriors are 8-point favorites. The total is 225. No Juancho, no Karl Anthony Towns. We don't know if D'Angelo Russell is going to play. That is up in the air. He is questionable with a quad issue. If he is out, that puts ravishing Rick Rubio into that starting lineup again. And he could put up some interesting numbers. We'll also probably get Jared Vanderbilt starting at power forward again. Steph's at 9,200. Absolutely love the floor there. Draymond's hard to trust, while Vanderbilt at 5,000. I do like Vandy at 5,000 quite a bit there. He's been putting up some strong numbers when he doesn't get into foul trouble. Oubre's at 59. He's been atrocious, while Wiseman at 54. It could be a good matchup for Wiseman against Naz Reid. I don't think Reid's providing too many problems. So I think this might be one that I do consider Wiseman an option at that 5,400 salary. Wiggins at 65 against his former team. Hasn't played against the Wolves in the past, I don't think. So I'm not sure how we look at him. I think he's maybe a tournament guy, but that's probably it. While Reid is at 6,100, and that is a lot for a bloke called Naz Reid. I think we can do better than him at that salary. That'll do it for the first look for DraftKings for 10 games on Monday. Subscribe, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell. You can be part of the notification gang, and follow the rest of Al's videos by subscribing. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.